Please note, we would like to make it very clear, we are totally against the form of discipline described in the articles and accounts being used on minors and non-consenting adults. Although some of these accounts are fictional, and others may be an exaggerated reality, none of them are too far from the truth of what really happened back in those days.
Too old for spanking. I was not spanked beyond age 10. However, when I was 11 and 12 I remember being given the occasional threat of a spanking. So, the possibility was still there, but I never needed to actually get it after 10 years old. Once I became a teenager, I can hardly remember being disciplined at all, much less spanked. I might get a verbal lecture from time to time, but that was it. When I was a little kid, I think spanking worked for me. During those years, I did tend to learn lessons best through the seat of my pants. I think that getting spanked past the age of 12 would have seemed awkward to me and very insulting. My school had corporal punishment in the form of paddling up through 8th grade, which would be age 14. So, I could have been a potential recipient. My only school paddling happened when I was in 1st grade and was 6 years old. At 6, I didn't mind getting paddled. When you're younger, you recover quicker, and all is forgotten faster. I was back to normal within a few minutes. By contrast, if I had gotten paddled in junior high at age 14, I would have felt altogether different about it. Bending over and being paddled at that age or older would have upset me very much and would have been harder to move on from than it was at 6. Same thing if I had been spanked at home. By that age, if I was to be disciplined, I expected more mature punishments. I would have been okay with being grounded or losing privileges or having detention at school or something of that nature. I did get a few detentions in high school for being tardy. They worked, and I disciplined myself well enough to get to school on time. This was my junior year in high school, so I was 16 or 17. If they had paddled me for those tardies, it would have been so insulting and degrading. It would have done more harm than good. Basically, I think that spankings should stop by about age 10, but certainly by age 12. I would have still been okay with getting spanked at 12 if I had done something to warrant it. After that age, I was a maturing young woman coming into my teenage years, and the days of my parents or my teachers' principals spanking me should have ceased. I just know how I would have felt at that age. I didn't mind it as a young kid. It was normal and natural. As a young child, I'd get a spanking, learn my lesson, and then move on. As an older child, I don't think it would have been that way. I remember how it was as a teenager. No, I didn't think I was grown. I knew that I wasn't grown. However, I also was not a little kid anymore. It would not have been right to discipline me at 16 in the same way that I was disciplined at 6. I would have felt insulted, and I think I would have actually become more rebellious. My 1st grade teacher swatted me at 6 for running in the school hallway. If my high school teacher had done the same thing to me at 16, it would not have been good. Not only was my mind more mature at that point, so was my body. I was developed, and bending over and presenting my backside would have been entirely different. My high school did not have paddling, so the last age that I was even a potential recipient of paddling was 14. My parents were long finished spanking me at home even before that. I might have been threatened at age 12, probably was. You are still a kid when you are 12. A lot of it also depends on the nature of the child and how fast they mature. Still, my personal belief is once a child celebrates their 13th birthday, they need to be punished with grounding, loss of privileges, extra chores, stuff like that. To me, spanking is a young child's punishment. I must have been 14 or even 15 when I was last caned at school. Don't know if any older kids got it, but I imagine they did. Home spankings stopped at about 11 or 12, but after that I used to regularly hear the saying "you're not too old," which usually was accompanied by my dad starting to take off one of his slippers. I remember that I never willingly bent over at home when ordered and was always forced over a table or knee for my punishment. After a while my dad stopped saying bend over and just dragged me into position. But at school I just bent over without a murmur, at 14 years old. Probably afraid of what would happen if I refused. A friend at the same school witnessed 2 boys getting the slipper in the classroom. This was in the 6th form, so we're looking at 15 at least, or possibly 16. I was caned in the 6th form at school for skipping school assembly. I told the headmaster that the boys made the assembly a mockery, and needless to say he took a dim view of my comments and I received 4 strokes of the cane. I am distressed and concerned that you only got 4 strokes for missing assembly and disrespecting the headmaster. These offences are worth 6 each when committed by a 6th former because of the bad example set for younger students. Privilege and status comes with responsibility unless you are a politician, senior government official or dictator. It is demeaning to all 6th formers not to cane them properly when and if they need it, which should not be often. I have never subscribed to the notion that schoolboys can become too old for SCP in communities where SCP is acceptable and used. Indeed, I would suggest SCP is most useful for robust culpable older teens and least valuable for preteens. SCP provides a quick, cheap, convenient sanction with minimal impact on other activities and other people. In my day, 6 of the best was a cruel torment for a callow 13-year-old, but something most 18-year-olds could laugh at. This was back in the days when schools were designed for boys, leaving girls greatly disadvantaged.